So I never hear anybody say, well, that's not in my job description, because we don't say that here.
That's perfect. That's not my job description is not something that we say around here.
Yeah.
We all wear a lot of hats. We pick up where things are slacking, and that's.
All right, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and start it. Might have this in my pocket for a little bit. I gotta figure out how to. I know what I'm gonna do. I'll just put my Gmail open. Damn, man. Here they go. Hey, how you doing? Oh, no problem at all. Thanks. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Come on in here and
I'll go grab my.
come, go ahead and grab a
Right
seat.
here.
Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Battling the weather today.
Yes, it is. It was a big downpour.
Yeah.
It was a huge downpour.
I don't know. It doesn't look like it's gonna let up anytime soon either.
No, it doesn't. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming in today through this rain.
So I'll quick introduce myself, and we'll just kind of go around here. This is a lead technician. So if you were to be offered the position, you'd be a part of his team. So I wanted to make sure that he was present to answer any questions, and that he already spoke to in a phone screening, and head of human resources and accounting here.
Okay.
So, thanks for taking the time to come in. Basically, I just want to walk you through, make sure no questions are left unanswered before you leave today. Obviously, if anything comes up afterwards, feel free to reach out to Buff. And then we'll just kind of dive right in. So, we'll give you a tour of our facility, and then one of the things, if you were to be offered the position, we manage a fleet of vehicles, and so we kind of walk through like what a day-to-day would look like, and we've got a vehicle in the back, so we'll walk you through.
That'd be great.
That. Tell me about your most latest experience. I've got some notes and questions that I want to ask, but your previous role at Veritas, about that?
Yeah, pretty much we were tech support engineers, and we would get on Zoom calls with some of the biggest clients, in the country, pretty much all the Fortune 500 companies and anybody that does data backup. Our position would be working with, installing Kubernetes for the net backup appliances. I kind of took a lead on a lot of the Docker and the containerization technologies and things when I kind of came in, because a lot of people weren't familiar with it. Basically, what we would do on a day-to-day is, we might get a ticket or a case or a call in regards to net backup having an issue on not backing up. We would gather the logs. I worked on a lot of proof of concept cases, especially with the sales team. So a lot of times, I would have to get other people in different departments, such as like Azure and cloud engineers and things of that nature. And then what we would do is we would do what they call a proof of concept. And sometimes that would come into like a big sale where they would decide to buy that solution. Typically, we get 2 to 3 cases per day. We would jump on a Zoom call, talk to the customer, see what's going on. I would gather the logs, find out what their environment is, and that was pretty much what encompasses the position there.
Okay, how were you doing in terms of the ticketing tracking? Did you use like a specific system?
Yeah, we had a proprietary system with Oracle,
Okay.
And they were talking about considering going into ServiceNow and things of that nature. Most of the ticketing systems that I work with is like ServiceNow, Jira. I've used HP Service Manager before. I've used Remedy, but they just used something called, it was Oracle, and they're like a proprietary app.
Okay, and then in terms of the documentation or status updates on the service tickets, were you responsible for kind of seeing that whole process through from receiving the ticket, status updates, delivering the message?
Yeah, absolutely. We had to put all the information in there, such as environment. We had to talk about what we did in the case, the troubleshooting methods. We would talk about what we extracted from the logs. A lot of the systems were Linux systems. Some of them were Windows systems as well. You had to pretty much, when you handed it off, because let's say it was like a severity 1 and it was a customer that had what they call a BCS, business critical services. What they would do is they would say, well, you have to have all the information that you worked in on that case, and they actually have a QA team as well, and they will go through your ticket. So we had to be very cognitive about the information we put in.
Okay. Was a lot of this in terms of the work you were doing in service tickets? Was it all, kind of by yourself working? Did you guys work in collective teams?
It was a team, so we would have a team about maybe 10 to 15 different technical support people. There was maybe about 4 or 5 different TSC teams.
Okay.
So we're kind of working by ourselves, and then Microsoft Teams, we're just kind of opening up the chat if we got questions for other engineers and things of that nature. So we independently will be assigned a ticket. You would have a ticket system, a ticketing department in India, and what they do is they'll hand you tickets, and you can select tickets from the bucket, and so that's how that worked.
Okay. Yeah, we use a couple different communication platforms. Obviously, Microsoft Teams we find that a lot of our customers, we work a lot with state and local,
Okay.
so they utilize a lot of that. Internally, we use Cisco WebEx.
WebEx, okay.
Yeah, we communicate everything. We are a Cisco shop here, so I see that you're pursuing your CCNA anticipated end of this year.
Yeah, I'll probably end up, I might dial back and work on the CCST just in terms of time.
Yep.
The priority became, once I started getting in the program, the priority became work, because I gotta replace, my wife's working now, so I gotta replace hers, and then I'll just go back into it.
Okay. So I can give you, I don't know how much you know about Purcellus as an organization. If you don't know much, that's perfectly fine as well.
I do know that you guys are involved in cybersecurity and do managed service infrastructure support. I did see you guys sell a lot of thin clients for reselling.
Yep. So we are a reseller. Like I said, we're a Cisco shop. So because we're a reseller, we deal in all of the manufacturers, right? We work with HP, Dell, Lenovo, Microsoft, everything. But we are a Cisco shop. We've got out of our IoT techs, there's roughly 12 of them right now, and that department's growing. I'd say half of them are CCNA and higher certified. Our field supervisors, CCNP, our professional services managers, is CCNP on his way to be a CCIE.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's putting in a lot of the work. So he's real vested in it. So kind of the breakdown of the structure of the organization. So the professional services department, that encompasses the IoT team, which is the position that you've applied for.
Okay.
We call it IoT/modernization team. Just we follow the trends of the language in the IT world.
Okay.
So that's the professional services. Anything tech related, feet on the ground, that comes from our professional services.
Okay.
It might encompass not only being out in the field, but if it requires work that needs to be done here in our data center, that's our professional services group.
So we would have an opportunity to work in the data center.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
So we've got, I want to make sure with our immediate need, we'll walk through what a day-to-day looks like, but we've got, our overall structure. You had mentioned our cybersecurity group. So we've got our professional services group, and then we've got our kind of our reseller focus. So we are a part of a couple larks. There's roughly 42 manufacturers on there, anywhere from Cisco, HP, Dell. There's storage on there, AWS is on there, and anything that the state requires that they can buy off that state contract, they can come to us. Not only are they going to want us to provide it for them, but they might want us to implement on it, provide training for them. And as we kind of walk you through here, we've got a kind of a classroom set up over there.
Okay.
So anytime one of our customers wants to do some type of training on ICE requirements or things like that, we bring someone specifically in from Cisco that specializes in that. We can set up any of those things. So we've got the professional services, and then we've also got our reseller focus, and then we've got our cybersecurity and CMMC focus. So what they do is they work with clients all across the country, performing NIST assessments on them. We're trending towards becoming an auditing organization over there as well, so that they're going to be able to perform not only the assessments but also perform audits as well. And then we've also got our internal executive group, which obviously includes human resources, accounting, and internal IT as well. So we are a full IT integration company. We're a staff of about 25 employees, but when it comes to technology, installation, documentation, install, removal, you name it, we've done it across the state. So yeah, our immediate need is to support the metro. We manage a fleet of roughly vehicles, and if you came in that direction, you'll probably pass one of the service garages over there, and once we point out the vehicle in there, you'll have realized you've seen thousands of them driving through the metro. And so what we do on those vehicles is we've got a huge push to install their newest fleet. So on that fleet, which encompasses our IoT department, we're installing new cameras, we're wiring the vehicles for all of the camera systems. They've got what's known as a Ranger device. That's the communication between the garage and the dispatch to the driver. They use a mobile gateway on there. That's a Sierra wireless product. It's their onboard mobile gateway. Basically, operates as the brain of all of the devices on there. So not only do we install all of that, but we do routine checkups on all of them. So those,
make sure they're running good.
Yeah, those require us to touch them every 60 days. So we go on there, we check the network, we check the camera systems, we check to make sure everything is communicating properly. We are a trusted advisor, so they grant us access to their back-end management portals. That means that we can access their network. We've got them in our facility so that we can test anything that comes in our facility. We can do work for them in our facility and make sure that it properly accesses their network at the same time. So that is our immediate need. And as we kind of walk you through out in the warehouse and show you a vehicle, I'd really, break down what a day-to-day would look like for our immediate needs. So we've got a lot of moving parts in terms of our reseller and our cybersecurity practices, but I just want to make sure I'm being fully transparent on what our immediate hiring needs are. So,
That's fine.
any questions from you?
Yeah. So what got you interested in this position?
Well, when I seen the position, I applied for it. It was, I can't remember when I applied. It was a while because it's a lot of interviews I've been through. When I was initially looking at the company, I seen that you guys had a lot of interesting things, and in terms of the cybersecurity is what kind of caught me. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember when I applied. I don't remember much about the IoT stuff until I actually got like an email from you. So when I went and I looked at the company, it wasn't a whole lot of information. Like I tried to do like some research online, so there was only so much that I could find on the website. But I was kind of interested in how you guys work with the cybersecurity in the NIST ordeal.
And I think to recap with that, we sent the job description because I know when you apply on, especially if you're on the system that you are, it can be like 12 different websites and it's hard to remember all the positions you applied for. So like Jeff said, he likes to be very thorough in letting you know that this is an entry-level position and there are opportunities to move, but there's people ahead of you in that line. And so that we want to always make sure that it's understood that this is the position that's offered right now.
Right.
It's the IoT technician position.
I did think it was very interesting, because I have been on those buses. Actually, the 219 kind of runs by the house. It kind of goes through Matamidi and then it, certain parts of Oakdale, North St. Paul. And I always kind of wondered, like, what's on those buses? How do they communicate?
Yeah, and again, I want to make sure I'm being fully transparent. It is a field position, so a day-to-day would look like coming in. If it's a day where you're on service tickets or a day where you're on preventative maintenance, bulk of our big push is going to be these new vehicles in terms of doing full installations. So coming in, this is a 1 to 9 shift.
Right.
So showing up around that 1 o'clock hour, loading, we have a fleet of vehicles here that we use as utility vehicles. And so loading up any of the gear that we would need, going out on one of the sites and then installing all of that. And it's very much the next day, most likely doing the same thing. This week, Mike is doing a heavy push on service tickets and preventative maintenances. So our day shift employees, they're doing the installs. Our evening shifts is going to be doing those service tickets, the troubleshooting of the network, and then the preventative maintenances. Next week that could shift. We work around the state. You had said that you'd seen some go through. We work around their routes. So if the day shift employees are supposed to be doing service tickets, but they just can't get to those vehicles because the garages are not able to hold them down, because every time a vehicle is down, it means that the state loses money by them not being able to charge fares for the rides.
Right.
So that's our main goal, is we want to make sure that ridership and the vehicles stay moving, right? We want to make sure that the vehicles are still in service. These vehicles are used for people to go to the doctor's appointments, dental appointments, and so we take a lot of pride in making sure that all of the vehicles, from what we can handle from an IT perspective, are at 100% of uptime, right? If they go down for other things, that's unfortunate, but we want to make sure we're doing our part to make sure that they're out and in service for all of those things.
So when you go into the field, when you say the truck could be elsewhere, it may not be in the warehouse, you may have to go to it, and then when you're working on it, like let's say if it's like -10, are you inside a warehouse, or are you typically just on the bus and then you're hooking up all the wires, doing the troubleshooting on it?
So we periodically have vehicles here. So right now there's only a couple out there, but in the next couple weeks they'll fill our garage with vehicles that need all of the equipment installed.
Okay.
They don't typically bring anything here just for us to troubleshoot. They'll keep all of that stuff at their garages. And there's roughly 10 of them from St. Paul, Maple Grove, Burnsville. They're
Okay.
all over the 7 metro county.
So I could just, if they say, hey, our internet's not working, I could drive out to Burnsville and bring my tools and van and whatnot,
Yep.
and then go work on the prospective vehicle.
Yep, so what they would do then is they would hold that vehicle down for us. Typically, if it's something that's a liability, if a camera is not operating properly, if the fare system is not functioning properly, they'll keep those vehicles out of service.
Okay.
We would then go out, plug right into the network. We have access to the back-end Sierra wireless portal, so you'd be able to fully see what's going on in that issue and doing that. For the, you had mentioned 10 below, things like that, we don't put our employees in that position. So if it's, we've had 30 below wind chills, things like that, we do everything we can to make sure in our controlled temperature setting here, hey, we're going to spend the next couple days doing work in our warehouse on the vehicles that are here. Or we go out to garages and we flat out say, hey, there's indoor spots in those.
So you just go in the warehouse, warehouse, and you're okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so they do that. But again, it's, they have mechanics that need to be doing that as well. So it's not always they're able to move those things for us.
Right.
So we work around, like I said, there's 10 different garages. So we would work around, okay, hey, it's 30 below. This vehicle can't get moved in inside. We're going to go to a different one and do that. We work on the roof of vehicles. Those Sierra wireless products require a roof antenna. So, it's pouring rain today.
Mm-hmm.
They're typically pretty accommodating and moving vehicles inside for us to do work on the roof. We deal with the inclement weather, the heat, so we just have a stretch of 90 to 95 degrees. The roof of a vehicle gets very hot sitting out in the sun. Again, the garages do what they can to accommodate for us, but they don't always. And so we just work with them to say, hey, it was 130 degrees on the roof of the vehicle. I didn't go up there and install the antenna. We will be back to do that.
Okay.
And we have a customer support coordinator that works with our entire IoT team to deliver that communication back and forth.
Okay. How long does it take to usually do the wiring? Is it dependent upon, this one just needs a camera system installed for now, or?
Yeah, I would say a full install, one person is 1 to 2 days.
Oh, okay. So it's a full, complete, like all the pieces.
Right now,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of for the vehicles, they literally go, built at the manufacturer, and then they go to a vehicle distributor. The vehicle distributor wires the vehicle, the light systems. If there's a bike rack that needs to get put on it, they do all of those things, the non-technical stuff. And then they'll either come to us or they'll go directly to the garage. And if it's the technology on it, we install that. We don't deal with any of the fuse paneling that affects the lights or anything like that. We deal with the fuse paneling in terms of making sure that when the vehicle starts, the technology powers up. So we deal with the ignition powering, the ground, and all of that stuff. We do a very good job of training all of that. And then it's the installation of the camera system, the DVR. Was there 5 cameras on a vehicle? Roughly.
4, yeah.
So they each have their own DVRs. They're not like a cloud. It's not like cloud.
No.
Okay.
So, and then each location has a hopper. So when they want to view footage, there's no live look-in on these vehicles. So when these, in the event of an incident that they have to review the camera footage, they're required to pull the hard drive out, and then each location has a hopper, and they view the footage that way.
Okay, so they can just go to they don't have to look through all the footage like a tape. They can just go to whatever timestamps and stuff. Okay.
Yep. And then the other technology on there is that Sierra Wireless. Some vehicles are set up a little differently. So you've got, like you had mentioned, a vehicle that travels through, that would be what's known as a fixed route, just assigned stops everywhere that they go. We work a lot up on what's called the dialer rides. Those are the passenger vehicles that are going to go drop passengers off at appointments or whatever's need to be taken to grocery stores. Okay. People that don't have other means of transportation.
So these are just the smaller buses, what I call the 219. None of the big
we work on those too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, but we're not currently doing any full installs on those, but we do troubleshooting on those, routine preventative maintenances. Just the mass fleet upgrade that's happening right now doesn't encompass any of those big vehicles, but we still work on them on a weekly basis.
Okay. How long have you guys been working? Since the start, or?
I've specifically been with them for probably 10 years,
Okay.
But this fleet contract.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm just looking to see if I have anything. We had talked about, you said you were like a spreadsheet guy, and so with this being said, what we've heard today, does this sound like something that fits in what you're looking for a position?
Yeah, I mean, my background, the first time when I got into IT, I came from like an infrastructure background position. Pretty much all the Windows 7 migrations that was going on in the Twin Cities, Travelers Insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. My first Windows 7 migration was for a manufacturing site called Minco Products, and they do, I was kind of supporting their desktops for, sensors and stuff, like things that have actually been on space stations and space shuttles and NASA and stuff. So I kind of was learning their ERP system at the time. So I come from kind of a field support kind of background. I really didn't start getting into the heavy software until maybe later, when I started doing maybe Citrix administration. But I always did more hands-on stuff when I started in my career.
Are you looking to get back into that? This is a very hands-on position.
You said back into to hands-on?
Yeah.
I mean, I was interested in, getting into more of the hands-on field support, data center kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons why I had enrolled after the layoff. I had enrolled into, looking at Cisco.
Okay. So I guess just to be fully transparent, you knowing now what the immediate ask is, the work that we do in data centers, you may not see for 6 months to a year.
That's fine.
The Metropolitan Council, our immediate ask in support of the fleet infrastructure is what we work on. That's really what we're looking for. So I just want to be fully transparent. As we interview, there's a lot of people that come in and they see we're a Cisco shop, we're a reseller shop.
And they think they'll be in the data center real
Exactly.
soon. Yeah.
They, by week 2, they're wondering when they can get their hands on Cisco equipment and, HP, Dell equipment, and I just want to make sure that I'm being fully transparent on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Any other
I
questions?
think that's all I had. Okay.
Any questions for us?
Where do you see the future of this company going within the next 5 to 15 years?
Well, stepping aside from what we're doing with the Metro, we're just awarded at the start of this year one of the largest reseller contracts that an organization like ours, that's the state to release that has allowed that many OEMs to be on a contract, and that's going to be a 5-year contract. I couldn't even put a dollar value on that because we haven't seen something of that magnitude.
Right.
We've had other we're on an HPE state. They've all been kind of one-offs, and then as companies get acquired, that adds to that. But to this magnitude, once that's actually published and goes live, there is going to be a need for pre-sales engineers at this organization. There is going to be a huge need for additional IoT that is going to be in the data centers on those. So there is going to be, all of that is coming. On top of that, our cybersecurity practice and our CMMC is going to be absolutely huge. The federal government, as of this year or the start of next year, is going to release an official number that each organization is going to have to adhere to those NIST requirements. So us now building, we've got the ability to do the assessments. We're working towards being able to do the audits. We can do risk management, risk assessments. We can do gap analysis. We have a full vulnerability scan capabilities. That's going to be the future of this. The travel needs, as much as they need. We're in conversations, the light rail extensions are still going on right now.
Yeah, they're talking about doing that out there towards White Bear.
Yep, and so that we've supported them in the past, and now they're bringing, as we did a lot of work with them when the first green or blue line stations, that they're going to be doing a bunch of work out in Rochester as well. I don't know if they're ever going to find a connection point there, but in terms of the Metropolitan Council, their fleet, their transportation needs, that would be probably a 5-year agenda that we're going to work through too. But the reselling aspect and the security is really the direction that the organization is going to be going.
Okay. What would you say is like the typical troubleshooting that's done in terms of cameras not working and maybe the wiring, or if you could speak to some of the troubleshooting or some of the issues that you see on these buses?
Yeah. So a lot of it is cameras going out, the mobile gateway not working properly, not connecting to access points, not powering up, stuff like that. Working with closely with the fuse panel, make sure all devices are getting power. Sometimes cables stop working and stuff like that. Rerunning cables, making sure the connection is good with all the devices on the vehicle.
Okay.
That's a lot of the troubleshooting that we do. We also do troubleshooting of gateways back at base here. Talking with your wireless, our main devices that are faulty. Stuff like that.
Because we are the first line of communication, the people that experience the issues on the vehicles are probably the drivers, right? They notice while they're out on route, there's a connection issue with dispatch, and suddenly they're not getting their routes when they need it. So they're non-technical. They don't really know what's going on. They just know, hey, this device isn't working anymore. So they go back, they let their garage manager know or their director know, hey, this wasn't working while we're on site. So we may receive a service ticket that just says connection to dispatch is broken. And then it's our responsibility to go out there and identify, okay, was it actually the device that they were seeing, or not seeing the routes that they need to be? Well, we know typically that that's going to be a mobile gateway issue. Okay. So then it requires us to log in, and on that back end portal, you can see, okay, did they hit these lulls? Because this is a mobile gateway device, it runs similar to a phone, right? It's got a SIM card in it. So you'll be able to see, okay, is it a Verizon network? Was this signal drop due to a Verizon tower not being in the area? You can see that on the log of communication that was going on there. So we may see service tickets that come in that might not have anything to do with what actually they submitted, right? It might just say, this device isn't working. Well, we know based off our experience, first thing we got to check is the mobile gateway right away, because that's going to see where everything else jumped. The camera stuff, drivers hit potholes. They may submit a ticket that says, hey, this camera angle, we pulled footage, it's completely sideways, it's not working. We might have to go out there and just remote in and just completely transition that camera around. That stuff is pretty simple to address, but it's just things that they don't really know what they don't know.
So you could see what the issue is typically. When you mentioned about that hands-on, you can, a lot of times you can physically say, this right here is a cord that either went worn, or this camera right here, we got to turn it around or something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is, and we're on the vehicles when we do all of the troubleshooting. Our customer support coordinator works with all of the garages, the manufacturers, to just make sure that, make sure that vehicle is available when we get there. So.
Okay, can you speak to the training aspect and the learning curve of the position?
Yeah. So yeah, right now, because we're doing the full installs, it's a really great training opportunity because you get hands-on with everything from the ground up. A lot of learning there, learning just the back end, different couple different like dashboards we're using, like the like AMM for the Citrix mobile gateway, and so yeah, that's pretty good for the training, and the amount of like skill needed. It doesn't take like too long to get caught up and stuff typically, I would say.
So we document everything.
Yeah.
So we have documentation for absolutely everything. So what it looks like to do a full installation of the cameras, we've got documentation. What it looks like to troubleshoot the Sierra Wireless device, we've got documentation. And we didn't reinvent the wheel. We are a partner with Sierra Wireless. So we get all of our training and everything directly from them. So, it's roughly a 2 to 3 week training in which, day one is in-house human resources, getting all of that stuff in order. Day 2 is where you would start literally being on site, walking through what all of that looks like. We don't send anybody out by themselves until they are fully comfortable doing all of the troubleshooting. Obviously 2-3 months down the road, if you were, offered the position, you may see some type of issue that you haven't seen since you were trained on it.
Right.
And that's where we utilize our WebEx, our Teams chats to say, hey, here's a picture of what I'm seeing. Has anybody seen this? And it is minutes before somebody is, yep, seen that, tried this, do this.
So the laptop, I would bring a laptop with me.
Yeah.
And I would have a phone.
Yep.
And then I would be able to just open up the laptop and say, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that 1 to 9 shift right now, Michael is out there with you.
Okay.
And then there's a handful of other IoT techs that are in that shift as well. So, and for the time being, you'd cover 1-2 different locations out there. So it would be a long time before you'd be on site by yourself, not actually with another tech or a lead.
Okay.
And then in terms of the ongoing trainings, specifically for this, the Metropolitan Council utilizes us as their advisory board. We're more technical than anybody we work with over there, and for sure anybody we work with at the garages. So when they're looking to consider new technology, new camera systems, new mobile gateways, new payment devices, they lean on us to not only give them recommendations but point gaps. And okay, if you go this route, these are the issues you're going to face. Or if you choose, we're the ones that led them into a 360 camera instead of working with another camera manufacturer. We told them these are going to cover more ground, you're going to spend a little bit more money, but you're going to eliminate the need for one extra camera. So we were able to provide them with a better solution, but also save them money in the long run because they wouldn't have to buy more. And so we've sat on advisory boards with them. Anytime there's going to be new trainings coming to light, so right now the Sierra Wireless product is coming end of life, they may go with another Sierra Wireless, they may go with a Cradlepoint, Digi, whatever they decide to go with, we'll provide our recommendations, but it is their decision. Whatever they decide to go with, what we do is we bring in that manufacturer's technical account manager, and they'll do some type of training for our entire team so that they know these are the issues that you may run into, these are how you troubleshoot the devices, all of those things. And we do that not only for what we've got going on with the Metropolitan Council, but with that large state contract and our need in 6 months to a year for pre-sales engineers at this organization, we're going to have to do the exact same thing. Bring in technical engineers to train our pre-sales engineers on those specific products.
Okay. So there's opportunities for that. So typically in this position, would you say you're primarily dealing with layer 1 through 3, primarily layer 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then when it comes to the mobile gateways, layer 3 if needed. That would be around layer 3, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
correct.
Yeah, currently the Sierra Wireless, the mobile gateway is probably the most technical thing. And we keep spares on hands, so the biggest thing is if we go out there and we've we've done everything that we know that we can. It may be as simple as a rip and replace that device, we bring it back in-house, and then we may send it directly back to Sierra Wireless. Could be something on their end that they needed to deal with, and then they'll ship us a new device, or they'll troubleshoot on their end and send that device back.
Is there any dynamic adjustments that need to be made when you install those mobile devices, or is it they don't need any static IPs or anything? It's just dynamic and it just goes straight out to the cell phone tower.
Yeah, we do a little bit of configuration that, like on the Sierra Wireless MG90 is the mobile gateway. Yeah, they have some files on there that we just added a little bit. Certain vehicles are assigned specific IP addresses, so we make sure that, like, when we install a new gateway, that all the information lines up correctly with what it should be for the vehicle, stuff like that.
And then for the garage's purposes, we have to associate that device to what vehicle it's on and then what garage it's housed at too. They use that as a tracking for the device too. So if we ever need to find out, okay, where is this vehicle? When is it going to be returned? The Sierra Wireless has a geo-tracking that pings it every 3 to 5 seconds, so we can see exactly where it is. So some of the times we just have to go in there and make sure that that's all updated and accurate.
Oh, okay. So you could pretty much, if there was a question on where the vehicle is, they could they can open it up, just kind of like to define my iPhone.
Yep. Yeah.
Only us though. The garages can't. They don't have access to do that. So that is one of the things. Is if you were offered the position, we are required that the camera systems, all of those things, basically states that we won't go in there and intentionally do any harm.
Right.
Share access with one another. Your account is your account. It's not to be given. Oh, Michael doesn't remember his login. All right, well, use mine. We can't do that. So everything is specific for each employee.
I had a weird question. Have you ever went on one of the fleets and somebody gets left a Whopper or something crazy? Or is it, for the most part, they keep those pretty clean?
Oh yeah, they keep them clean.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very good about that. Some of the vehicles, the full installs that we're doing will come with removals, right? So some of the vehicles that we're doing these full expansions on, they're net new, they're just to add to the fleet. Other situations, though, they're replacing a vehicle. So we might be assigned a vehicle to decommission the technology, which means that we're going out there, we're removing the cameras, we're removing the mobile gateway, we're pulling all of the cables out. Anything that we can harvest to be used again, the state wants us to do that, right, to save their budget. So there is that as well. So instead of doing troubleshooting, preventative maintenance, installations, there's some days where, okay, the state wants these removed from service, so we got to get out there, we got to get all of the tech off there so that they can send those vehicles to auction. Those vehicles, I will say, will have probably 400,000 miles on it, and they look a little bit rough. So full transparency.
Kind of remind 400,000 miles. It reminds me of the 3800 motor and the 4.6s in those marquees. I had a marquee, and they say 100,000 is just getting started.
Yeah, well,
just getting started.
That's how these vehicles are too. So they'll put 40, 50, 60,000 miles a year on these vehicles. So yeah. Any other questions?
I think the only other question I have, seems like it's a pretty good work autonomy here that I suspected on this conversation we have. If you could kind of speak to, the company culture, on, I know it's a smaller team. You said it's 20 employees, right?
Yeah, about 25.
25.
By the end of the next 60 days, we'll probably be closer to 30.
Closer to 30, okay. If you could kind of speak to the company culture.
Yeah, I can. I mean, so
We've got in front of you there too.
yeah, Barb had provided kind of a list of some things here, our points of culture, but I'll speak to just a couple things. We're a hardworking organization, And we believe in strong teamwork. We're a small business, but we're not a young business. I've been here for 10 years. We've built a lot of this based off of teamwork. There's been times where we didn't have a cleaning company, and I was in the office cleaning so that everybody was in a good environment. We wear a lot of hats. It's an organization where if you see something, you address it. If I'm not on a different level than Michael. Michael, if he sees me doing something, I want him that he's done more efficiently. I want him to say to me, hey, have you tried doing things like this?
Right.
Or if we're troubleshooting or anything like that, and you could come in with a completely different visual on what we're doing. And we are open to those things. We want to hear suggestion, continuous improvement. We adhere to ITIL, and so that continuous improvement is something that we strive for. We're in an industry that is forever evolving, right? It's not going away. We attend conferences, and there's a new IT word every single time we go. AI is at every single conference we hear about. We go from IoT to, we don't want to call it IoT anymore. We want to call it modernization. You're evolving with the industries and things like that. We're a group that works hard so that we can play hard, right? And so that's how I feel about the organization. We got our points of culture periodically. Again, continuous improvement. We add to this, we change things to this, we make sure that all of our employees adhere to this.
So you guys, sounds like you guys are very open to to constructive change.
Yeah.
If I happen to be in the airport one day and says, hey, I wish I knew a company that could help me with my bus fleet, I could bring that to the table. I could say, hey, there's a guy and he's got maybe 50 trucks and he's interested. I don't have to go up like 50 ladders to be able to come up with an idea.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anything you want to add to?
I know, I could just say the culture is same thing. It was like I was in the kitchen the other day and the garbage can was full and I was getting the garbage can on one of the text cases. I'll take care of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's fine. I will do it too. And they know I'll push the garbage cans out on garbage day and I'll do everything I can to help them too because we all work as a team.
Yep.
So I never hear anybody say, well, that's not in my job description because we don't say that here. We all know.
That's perfect. That's not my job description, is not something that we say around here.
Yeah.
We all wear a lot of hats. We pick up where things are slacking, and it's just what we do.
Okay. I think I had one other question. What are like some of the pain points, or if there is, and what changes would you guys like to see, if there's anything, whether it's standard operating procedure, documentation, whatsoever?
For me, our documentation can always get better. So we specifically, for our immediate need, we get audited, right, on us for asset management. So in our ticketing system, it's not only our ticketing system, it's our CRM and it's our asset management system. So it's all in one. Every single camera system that we install, every single MG90, mobile gateway device, Ranger, everything comes with a serial number, and some of those also come with an asset tag. Our attention to detail has to be spot on because the state requires us to provide daily and weekly updates. If you go out and you troubleshoot something or you do a full install, this is what went on. If I had to take anything, this is what went off. Where is it being stored? Did you go out and install a mobile gateway device? What's the serial number? What's the asset? Did you come off with a mobile gateway? Where is it located? Is it in our facility? Where is it in our facility? Is it in the check-in room? Is it in our data center? Or is it in our secure storage? We're required to document all of that. Every single day, a report goes out by our IoT technicians to our support coordinator, and she quality checks everything and makes sure that things are exactly how they should be. And that for me is something that could open up a pain point, right? Audits will get a very short notice. They'll say, hey, pull a report of everything that's in your system. I need to know if it's in your system, where is it located? So we track everything that's here, but we also track everything that's out in the field. So if they come to me and they say, hey, I need to know how many MG90s are on this site, what are the cameras, all of the serial numbers, I should be able to run that report and provide that to them. within minutes. So our documentation is something that, could cause a pain point.
So chain of custody is a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one thing for me. I won't speak to others, but yeah, that's one thing for me. Our documentation and our communication needs to be spot on.
Okay.
And for me in HR, it's dependability, because your team is relying on you. So if you decide, it's a beautiful sunny day out and you're like, yeah, feeling kind of sick today, now you put that on Michael and his team. He's got to pick up the slack for you being not here. So that's huge, that we have people that are committed, that are here, and we understand that things happen, and I'm always open to that there's emergencies that happen, but it better be an emergency. We're, I think, pretty accommodating.
Yeah.
I would piggyback off the documentation too. I mean, it's super important to have super thorough documentation, and for it to be, about all the devices, but also like about processes and procedures.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, overall cleanliness in our warehouse is really important. That goes off of the documentation and the asset management. We work as a team. Everybody's provided their own sets of tools, things like that, but we share utility vehicles, right? So, if you're offered the position working a 1 to 9 shift, you're going to come in, you're going to drive a vehicle that was most likely driven that morning from a different IoT tech. If you get on that vehicle and there's garbage left in there, you're not going to be happy.
Right.
So, it's all about, taking care of that stuff. Or if you get in that vehicle and someone left their tool bag in there and it's not taken out, and you drive somewhere and then all of a sudden it's gone, all of those things, we want to make sure things are just seamless around here, and everybody's holding each other accountable to, keep things clean and keep things organized. That's really important too.
So I'm kind of getting the family business vibe.
Yeah.
Culver's.
Yeah.
Culver's, not McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't think of any questions I have, so I know don't leave the Whopper.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we've got a couple of vehicles out in the warehouse. We'll take some time to walk you through one of them, just so you can kind of get a visual of exactly what everything looks like in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll grab keys. I don't know if you want to give them a quick walk around here.
Absolutely.
I will give it right back.
Did I keep this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll give you a walk through, and then taking you in back. We're not going to take you outside for this tour and the right quick office tour, and then
Do I need my hoodie?
you can leave everything for this. More than welcome to. Let me take you this way. We'll start here.
All right. Well, thanks again for taking the time. You got everything you need?
Oh, yeah, I gotta grab my stuff. Let me see, is it still pouring? I might want to put this on.
I was going to run up because I just got off of another call. Perfect. Thank you. We'll be back in touch. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, it's raining. All right. So here's the thing, y'all. I had to go out to the warehouse. They were showing me around, doing their due diligence, doing their thing. And to keep it 100, I don't think this gonna go over 55 or something, and I can't really do a lot with that. But what I will say is this: it's a small company. They seem like they got some pretty good sized contracts, around Minnesota. But I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's a great position for me. I really don't. I don't think it's a great position. I did try to dial back on the talk. I didn't try to talk a whole lot, which was good. So that was really, they didn't ask about any information about my previous employers except for one. So sometimes that could be good. Sometimes that could be, janky or whatnot. But I'm going to upload this for y'all. I'm going to edit it all out and we're going to go from there.